the first things I remember is getting out the back and literally limping out the back and sitting down and putting on, I always bring with me compression gear to put on directly after fights. And I had it after the fight to put on, but I had these like sleeve type sock things. I had 2 of them and I put them on, both on, and then I put my anklet on top of that, because what I needed in that moment was a bit of support and structure on the injury. The first thing I was thinking to myself is I don't know if I'm even going to make it out for this fight. I don't know how I'm going to find whatever it is I need to find to go out to this final. If I tried to put weight on for the right hand, it wasn't there. If I tried for the chop, it wasn't there. And I was just doing, no matter what I was doing in that situation, nothing seemed to work. I needed to find a way to overcome it. And the way I found to ultimately overcome it was to find these little things that I could do and to build on those. And so while I was bouncing around in the warm-up, I realized that if I actually didn't move my feet and just had small little movements, then the pain wasn't as bad and it was kind of bearable. So I was moving, but I wasn't bounding around. So I wasn't putting that kind of stress through the area as much. And I found that kind of helped. Then when I was warming up with Charlie, there were just these kind of moments where I would get this kind of burst of, I don't know, adrenaline or something, and I'd just throw a combo. I'd just try it, because what did I have to lose? And it felt good. And, it was just like one combo that I threw, and then I built on that and built on that and built on that. And it was just this kind of getting into this mindset of, right, no matter what, we're doing this right now, and I don't care, first thing, you're not even going to get near my leg to chop it, but 2, if you do, you're going to get hit and you're going to get hurt on the way in. And that was what I was feeling, in that moment. And I remember, this is something that I always have said to myself for the longest time. I do this cognitive rehearsal thing, and I've done it since I was a kid. I didn't come here to come second. And no matter where I am, no matter what situation I'm in, every 8-man tournament I've ever had, I say that when I get to my final. Because when I'm going out to the final and I've made my way all the way to the end, just by rehearsing that to myself, I say it to people, but I'm saying it to myself, I'm speaking it into existence. I'm saying, I did not come all this way. I did not wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning when it's 3 degrees outside and pissing down with rain and go running 25 Ks in the wind, in the headwind when it's cold, and I've got a cold. I didn't wake up and do all of that, the diet, the exercise, sacrificing family time, sacrificing time with my kids, missing out on birthdays and going to training when I'm sick and sore and all of that. I didn't just have my leg just about chopped out to lose in the final. I think it was maybe the fight before mine was just about to go on or whatever, and I didn't have my gloves on, and I sort of tried to bound up the stairs to see if Richie or Jez were, in the corridor. And I've popped my head up, and I've just seen the doctor, and she's seen me kind of hobble up the stairs, as I've hopped up the stairs, I've gone, "Oi, I need you," and I was trying to talk to Jez or Richie, and she thought I was talking to her. And so she's come walking over, and I'm just like, oh, God, and she goes, "Why are you limping?" And I was like, in that moment, I'm thinking to myself, you're not stopping me from going out there to fight. And obviously she's just doing her job, wants to protect. But, so we had this little standoff where she's saying, "Why are you limping?" And I'm like, "I'm not limping. I don't know what you're talking about." Meanwhile, I have this thing all over my leg, and I've got it taped up, and it's all swollen, and you can clearly see that there's an injury, and I'm favoring it. And it was like a denial to her. She knew that I was lying, and but at the end of the day, she was not going to stop me from going out into that fight. But it was still one of those moments where you get pulled into reality a little bit, and it's like, oh shit. And so that little moment happened and there was a little standoff, but eventually I had my way, and because, she wasn't going to stop me from going out to the fight. But then I remember everyone kind of clearing out in the change room and being in there by myself again one last time, and my dad came in. He came up to me and he said, "Matty, you're too good. You're too smart. You're too intelligent. You're too experienced. You're too quick. You're too strong. You've got too many weapons in your arsenal." And he says this sort of thing to me before fights all the time because we have these conversations. But he said it to me. And this time, normally I agree with him, but this time I said, "Yeah, Mick, but that's not going to get me through this one. This one's not about that. This one's about heart. This one is about the discipline and the work that I've put in and all of the shit that I didn't want to do and that was uncomfortable in the past, and the experience of doing all of that, doing that stuff that I didn't want to do, that made me uncomfortable, that made me anxious, that made me nervous, that was painful, that was upsetting, all of that sort of stuff, getting through that was what got me through this fight. And I had to rely on that. And I remember him saying to me, I know you'll never give up. I know you won't give up and you won't quit. And that's one of the things that I've always said to myself, as well as the kind of, that cognitive rehearsal that I didn't come here to come second. The other thing I always used to say to myself, and still do, is no matter what happens, you will not beat me. Okay, you might beat me now, you might beat me tomorrow, you might beat me in a fight next week or next month or next year, but I promise you, in the long run, I will beat you. There will come an opportunity where I will beat you because I will not stop. I will not rest until I have that. And it's like an obsessive passion that I have. Normally I'll jump over into the ropes and I'll run around. This time I had to kind of just gingerly step in because I didn't want to, make a scene. But did end up jumping in, but I landed on my right leg. I wanted to try and give off the vibe that I wasn't in pain. I'm still doing it here. I'm still trying to pretend like I'm not in pain. I could see across the ring that he was looking at my leg and looking at me as if he was going to win. I could see how confident he was in himself. He was very, very cocky, and not cocky. I think he believed firmly that he was going to win. I wasn't normally before fights. I'll bounce on my feet and my feet will leave the ground. This time I was just kind of leaning from side to side. When you're out the back, there's a lot of pain. When you're in the ring, there's no pain except for certain moments when you might twist or land a bit funny. It's funny how the adrenaline just takes it all away, and that just you get into this tunnel focus. And that was that moment there where I hit him with that 1-2 as he's tried to throw the low kick. Hitting him early, hitting him hard straight down the pipe, but also doing what we were practicing in the warm-up with that little jab and the low kick, just because, he had a sore leg too. He'd just gone for a 3-round fight with Brown where they were chopping each other out. So I knew if I tagged him a few times in the leg kicks, there's every chance that he would buckle as well. In that moment, you have to not be worried about what he's potentially going to do and focus on, I'm the one here that's going to be dictating the pace. But I knew from watching his previous fights that he was a walk forward kind of guy and he was just going to keep the pressure on the whole time. So the game plan was basically just hit him on the way in with straight shots, with 1s and 2s, and chop his legs whenever you get an opportunity. Hit him on the way in, kick him on the way out, and that was the whole fight. No matter what I threw, something seemed to land. And fighting's all about just confidence. It's just about little moments and building on small wins, If something happens, and just kind of building on it each time. It was one of those things where everything was just clicking into place. Every time I threw something, it would land. That was the moment there where I hit him with the overhand. The left hook came through, put him down with the left hook. The right hook was coming through as well. Would have cleaned him up if it didn't go over his head. But it was right on the bell. And I knew that getting the 8 count meant that I had the 10-8 round. Now the mindset changes. Now, like the first fight, I've won here if I don't do anything stupid. Going back to my corner after that round, they said the same thing. It was like, brilliant, 10-8 round. It's your fight. Keep doing what you're doing. But they said to me, he's going to come looking for that calf, because their corner was shouting it during the fight. Kick him in the calf, in the knee. And you can see a marked change between the first round and the second round in where he starts attacking with that right kick. He really starts going for the calf. And he kicked me once in there. Unfortunately, I had enough support that I was able to deal with it. Yeah, he's looking for that calf kick now. You can see the market change. And I think it was that one where he hit me the second time and I realized this is deliberate now. So now I start moving my leg out the way. Initially, it wasn't deliberate, or I didn't think it was deliberate. He left himself so open. But the issue that he was having was that he was looking for that low kick and not setting it up with the punches beforehand. But instead, he was looking for that low kick, trying to chop me out, and he was just open for that straight right every time. I don't know, when you land a decent shot and then you do it again and again, and yeah, you can see how you can get addicted to that kind of style of fighting where you just stand and trade. But for me, I've always been focused on the long game. Standing and trading is good if there's no other option. But if I can move my feet and carry me out of danger, that's what I want to be doing. And I just felt here as well, like I was moving my head, throwing different combinations, going to the body. I wasn't doing the same thing over and over again, which is what I think he was doing a little bit. Although I did go searching a few times for that overhand. So I go back to the corner and I know now that the fight is mine, because I've won 2 rounds and I've got a 10-8 round in the bank. I know that the fight is mine. The only thing I need to do is, for 3 minutes, keep my hands up, keep doing what I'm doing. I remember with Brando, when he was in an 8-man, I remember saying to him before the final, don't spend the money in your head right now. This is where, if I wasn't as sharp and I wasn't as on it and I let him attack a bit more and I didn't throw my counters, this is where there's every chance that I get sparked out by doing something dumb. But just slip under his overhand, corner him, tag him with big shots. And this is where now I was like, all right, let's have a go, son. This is where I was having a bit of success. I could see he wanted to trade. I was totally having fun, yeah. It would be a different story if I was down and I was losing. But I knew I was winning, and no matter what I did, my glove seemed to land it on his head. So it was like, all right, let's just keep doing. And I've done so much work boxing in the pocket, trading in the pocket, moving my head, being in these positions. Thought, why not just have a crack? And I felt really fit, like physically. I wasn't puffing, I wasn't breathing, and my head was clear. Everything was clear. No, I feel great. What's there, like a minute left? Let's go, let's have a crack. It was a gamble, because there's every chance that you enter a 50-50 trade and you get sparked out cold. I was having so much fun, and I'd been through this huge roller coaster journey with this whole fight, that it was like, it just felt right at the time. I was letting my feet and my hands just go. So in this fight right now, I'm completely pain-free in this moment. Even though you can see me kind of straight leg, but I'm not even thinking about it. And I knew I'd won then at that point, and I think he knew as well. It was clear. there was a moment as well in the last round where I threw a spinning hook kick, and I knew that it wasn't going to land, but I threw it anyway, and I went down with it just to buy myself an extra like 2 or 3 seconds of time, just to run down the clock a little bit, a little bit of that kind of gamesmanship. Just kind of, oh, yeah, sorry about that. And then every time he kind of came in for those knees, I'd jam him up. Just be frustrating in that last minute. There was no thought of pain in my leg. And it's funny, like after that, I jumped out of the ring and I jumped off and gave my dad a hug and I was talking to the doctor, and there was no pain, nothing. And then, 10 minutes later, I get out the back and I'm packing my bag and the pain sets in. So it's funny how, the context and the adrenaline in that moment completely changes your perspective. I just knew out the back I had to get myself into the ring. If I could get in the ring, then it was done. And it's the same with a fight camp. It's the battle of actually making it to weigh in on time. That's the first real hurdle, getting through the sparring, putting up with all of that adversity that we all go through in those fight camps. Making it to the weigh-in is as hard as it gets. If you can do that and then get into the ring, that's the fun part, People always say like, oh, is it hard? No, the fighting's the fun part. The hard part is the diet, the exercise, the missing out on family events, and, all the injuries, the sickness, the illness, all of that's the hard part. The fun part is the 10 minutes or whatever it is that you get to spend in the ring trading leather. That's what it's all kind of about. And moments like that, when the fight finishes and it's done and all of that hard work is all worth it, that's when it all becomes real, and yeah, that's when it's all worth it.